The honey badger charges into the hunt without scouting first, as if fear has never existed in its survival dictionary. That small body carries a stubborn kind of power, ready to stand up to the most formidable ambush hunters of the savannah. Every step closer is a direct challenge, where reaction speed and nerve are pushed to the limit. So what makes a small animal capable of forcing an entire savannah to stay cautious? On the savannah, the lion is a symbol of pure pressure. One step forward can make many species hesitate and back away. But the honey badger does not see a king. It sees an opponent that must be pushed back through sheer boldness. When facing a lion, the honey badger does not rush straight in. It keeps changing direction to avoid exposing a weak angle. Step forward, stop, then cut sideways without warning. The pattern becomes hard to read, forcing the lion to slow down and reset. Thick, loose skin lets the honey badger twist and pivot with surprising flexibility, sometimes startling the lion in the process. Even when several lions move closer, the honey badger still refuses to retreat. It raises its coat and lets out a harsh warning call. A single honey badger can keep up this intensity for hours without tiring. That attitude builds a psychological barrier, leaving the lions unsettled, unable to understand why such a small animal dares to challenge them. Irritation grows over time, and the defensive odor adds to the discomfort until the lions lose interest. In the end, they pause and choose to move away. In nature, some confrontations do not need a winner, only enough trouble to make them not worth continuing. And the honey badger, the animal that does not recognize fear, is often the one that keeps the initiative. The leopard is a big cat known for sharp intelligence, masterful camouflage, and formidable strength. It hunts with absolute patience, stalking in near silence. But hunger does not always allow it to choose an easy target. And then the honey badger appears, forcing every cold calculation to change. The encounter quickly tightens as the savannah's most unruly fighter takes only a light scrape on the leg. But for the leopard, it looks like an opening. The leopard keeps shifting its angle of approach, trying to exploit that weak spot with probing strikes. The honey badger reacts with fierce resistance, twisting and turning non-stop to break free from control. In the end, the leopard fails to gain the advantage it expected. Elsewhere in the brush, a young leopard, still inexperienced, creeps toward a juvenile that has strayed from its mother. A distress call flashes out in an instant. One decisive rush and a perfectly timed check leave the predator with no room to continue. Within seconds, that patch of cover becomes a no-go zone the leopard will not risk again. It becomes a costly lesson about limits and about the kind of calculated risk a leopard must learn before it can truly grow into its role. In the wild, honey is a dense, high-energy reward, and it is rarely free. Reaching that resource is not blind recklessness, but a carefully calculated mission. For the honey badger, spatial memory works like a living map, letting it remember the exact location of a hive for months and return with ease. When the air turns cooler, the raid begins. The honey badger uses its powerful front legs to dig into hollow tree trunks, creating an entry path without rushing straight into the main guard line. Instantly, the bees respond with a collective biological defense system, piling on pressure with intensely painful stings. This is where skin, about 0.25 inches thick, matters, helping it endure far better. In just a few well-timed seconds, it reaches the most energy-rich honey. What stands out is that it does not get greedy. It does not linger or stay too long. It collects only the best part, then slips back into the brush. The key to success is not only endurance, but the ability to optimize time. Across the African savanna, hyenas move like greedy ghosts, holding their power through harsh pack tactics. With bite force strong enough to break through tough material, a group of 3 to 10 hyenas can overwhelm even the largest targets, yet they often pause with careful calculation when a honey badger stands its ground. As the circle tightens and rough, laughing calls echo around the brush. The honey badger shows the attitude of an animal that refuses to be intimidated, backed by a sharp, pungent odor released from its defensive glands. Its thick, shaggy coat adds another layer of protection, letting it brace and defend with relentless intensity. Hyenas, practical hunters by nature, quickly solve the survival equation. The small amount of modest payoff from such a tiny animal is not worth the trade-off. The standoff often ends in a heavy, respectful silence as the pack spreads out and gives way, allowing the king without a crown of reckless courage to continue its solitary journey. A tortoise is often seen as a fortress that is hard to break through, thanks to a shell as tough as armor. Even though it moves slowly and steadily, very few predators can overpower it. It does not only hunt by chance, it can also track the trail of a feast after wild dogs move on. The honey badger appears quietly, gathers the high-energy leftovers, and slips away fast. Instead of relying on brute force, it uses a technical approach, trying to flip the tortoise onto its back to expose the softer underside. With strong jaws and near limitless persistence, it works along the shell's edge near the legs, tail, or neck, until it opens a gap large enough to get access to the inside. When facing a large leopard tortoise, the honey badger uses its front limbs, with claws longer than 2 inches, focusing on scraping and breaking the weakest connections. Rather than trying to crush the entire shell like many other predators, the honey badger chooses anatomical intelligence to find the exact weak point. And in the end, even a solid shield has to give ground to the savanna's most relentless survivor. In the brush, cobras and vipers lie hidden like reflex machines. They carry potent venom, and an attack in 0.3 seconds can also project venom out to about 8 feet, enough to frighten most animals. But for the honey badger, this is simply another test of nerve and adaptability. As the honey badger moves in, the snake immediately climbs a tree to avoid being cornered. But the honey badger is also a master climber. The pressure rises fast, the snake loses its grip, and it drops to the ground. The honey badger reads the landing point, closes the distance in an instant, and the snake is quickly forced into a losing position. What makes this hunter truly stand out is its natural resistance to venom. Even if it is affected by part of a dose, the honey badger's nervous system can recover in about 1 to 2 hours. That window is like a short sleep to regain strength. Then it gets back up, continues the pursuit, and finishes dealing with what remains. Nature has given the honey badger a set of rare biological gifts. Those advantages shape one of the savanna's most fearless and unpredictable survivors. This time, the honey badger turns its attention to a massive South African oryx with straight horns like blades, often close to 47 inches long. With just one mistimed approach, the oryx snaps into a powerful defensive response. But for the honey badger, that is not necessarily failure. It is more like a quick test to read the opponent's speed and blind spots. And once it understands the rhythm of that reaction, it is ready to push the challenge to the limit. At only about 30 pounds, the honey badger will even move in close to an African elephant that can weigh up to 13,000 pounds. It does not try to overpower the giant. Instead, it creates disruption and forces the opponent to lose focus. Each forceful shove can send it sliding a few feet, but its flexible body and thick skin help soften the impact and allow it to get back up almost immediately. The message becomes clear. Sometimes extreme boldness, fast recovery, and perfectly timed reflexes are enough to make even a massive opponent rethink the distance. With every encounter, The honey badger shows that strength is not only muscle, but also willpower, memory, and adaptability. In a demanding natural world, the longest survivors are the ones that can read the moment and choose the right timing. The honey badger does not dominate through size, but by forcing every rival to reconsider the risk. If this journey offers viewers a new perspective on the wild world, they can press like and subscribe to support the story.